But you can talk about that one when it comes up on the agenda. No, you could say about it. All right.
All right, another thumbs up from Dwayne means it is time to start our regular city commission meeting. I will ask Hunter Haas to step forward. He is doing the honors of leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Trust me, we will get to this fine young man here in just a second. Roll call.
Benson.
Here.
Brunig. Here. Hanoff.
Here.
Johnson.
Present.
Minor.
Here.
Schramm.
Here.
Villanueva.
Present.
Mayor Moser.
Here.
City Manager Leon.
Here.
City Attorney Denherter.
Here.
Awesome. Before we move on to approve the minutes, we just finished a very hot and sweaty riverboat days. And so before I forget, I didn't want to be remiss to give another shout out and a huge thanks to the Riverboat Days Committee. I know I shared this when we did the proclamation at the last meeting. They don't just put that together 2 weeks before the event. They work on it all year long. And as Commissioner Villanueva probably can tell us, have we already started on next year?
Yes.
Okay. So my thanks to the Riverboat Days Committee for another wonderful event. It's my understanding from Chief Foote, we didn't have any huge issues as tied to our event, and with it as extremely hot as it was, doing a good job. All of us citizens and visitors of staying hydrated and making it another successful event. And I know, I'm sure on behalf of Commissioner Villanueva and the rest of the Riverboat Days Committee and the Commission, thank you to all the volunteers. We talked, I think even in our previous one, it takes a village sometimes to get things done. It definitely takes a village to have that large of a community event. So my thanks to all of them and the work they did with Riverboat Days. I wanted to get that out. So with that, we'll move to number 2, to approve the minutes of the budget workshop of August 14th, 2023, and the regular meeting of August 14th, 2023. What's your pleasure?
So moved.
Second. We have a double motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Opposed, nay. Anybody abstaining? All right, moving on to the schedule of bills. What is the commission pleasure?
Move to pay the bills.
Second.
That's one of my favorite things to say. Sorry.
We're going to move to pay the bills, and we do have a second. Any commission discussion on the bills? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Excuse me while I uncover my button there. Hanoff.
Here.
John.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Minor.
Here.
Schramm.
Aye.
Aye.
It's contagious.
Okay. And Schramm was still an aye.
I'm here, and an aye, yeah.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunig.
Aye.
Mayor Moser.
Aye. Motion carries, and I'm glad everybody's here as well still. All right, number 4 is the city manager's report, so I will turn it over to City Manager Leon.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the Commission, and public. Few things for you this evening before we get to our public appearances. First of all, I don't know, Al, if you want to leave your mic on, but I think everybody saw the press release relating to your transition into the next phase of your life, and I just wanted to publicly say that, you've been a mentor and friend to me more than a colleague, and I've got a few Alisms, some that I can say in public, some that I probably can't. They'll stick with me throughout my career, and so I'm sure you're going to get a lot of this type of discussion when we get to that agenda item, but I just wanted to publicly thank you from the bottom of my heart for just being a beacon of public service and somebody that I try to model myself after. So I thank you very much.
I did hear a couple of good riddances out there.
Al is also the expert on alcohol, so you can just take that however you'd like to, but we're going to have to take all that knowledge from you here in the next few months. But speaking of finance officers, I'll talk a little bit about sales tax. For the month of July, we did have a great sales tax return. Returns tend to be stronger in the summer. We're up 8.4%. That puts us cumulatively up for the year 6.25%, and that's where we want to be. So good numbers there. I have been in contact with Gary Vetter at Yankton County. For those of you who weren't aware, the county is moving forward with the EMS proposal, so I just wanted to let you know that since you voted on that last meeting, and I'll be visiting with Mr. Vetter and providing updates to you all as that process continues. There are some financial reports in your SharePoint associated with the audit report that is going to be brought before you, I believe, at our September 11th meeting. And so you can take a look at those, and we're certainly happy to answer any questions. Those were published, I believe, by the P&D on Saturday as well. So happy to talk through those with you, or if the public has questions. You've received some correspondence. We've placed that in your SharePoint folder as well this week. We will have an upcoming public appearance on the sign ordinance, and it seems like we may have some folks that would like more stringent sign ordinances and more restrictions, and some that would like less stringent. So there'll be public appearances probably representing both viewpoints at upcoming meetings, so we'll be signaling that to you. They've asked to be placed on the agenda. So echoing the mayor's remarks on Riverboat Days, thank you very much for all that hard work and great event. West Side Park Pond update. I want to provide that to the public. I sent that to you, commissioners, earlier today, and I just want to provide the public the same because I know everybody's interested in what's going on there. So we have received a quote for construction and design services for a geomembrane, that's the liner that we've talked about for West Side Park Pond from Stockwell Engineers. Tomorrow, Ross and Adam and I are going to meet with Stockwell. We're going to talk about the design itself and ask our questions there, start reviewing that design, and once we've accepted the design, Stockwell will put together a quote then for that installation. Those items will come to you in the form of both a contract amendment likely, as well as a change order, either September 11 or September 25, for you to talk about, consider, and act on. We're asking for language in the amendment to the contract that indicates this isn't constituting a waiver of any claims or damages or cross claims or defenses of either party, Stockwell or Geotech or the contractor or us, associated with any previous work. So we want to make sure that's clear to you all. That way we can reserve all our rights. All parties can reserve their rights and remedies provided in that original agreement. So I just wanted to be clear about that. If approved, it is possible that work could occur this fall. It's possible. Not guaranteed, but possible. So we don't want to rush it if we're not ready on the 11th to bring it forward, but we'd like to take advantage of fall weather for construction if we can. So that's where that stands, and there's been some work this week. You'll see some workers out there. That's associated with the well, the artesian well. Has nothing to do with Stockwell and the design and all those things of the actual pond itself. So I just bring that forward because we may get questions on that as we head into the week, because I think they'll be on site. So that's where that stands, and I wanted to provide that. Also, last thing, we had a difficult week last week, and we're heading into a difficult week this week with emergency responses to fires and to accidents, resulting in fatalities, as well as, just regular police calls that have, escalated it to a degree where we wish they hadn't. That takes a toll on our first responders, on our staff, on our volunteer fire department, on our dispatchers, on our officers. We do make sure that we have chaplain services provided to those folks who wish to pursue those. We also make sure that they have access to what we call employee assistance program, which is something that you offer both our volunteers as well as our city staff for themselves personally and their family members, because these things take a toll on family members as well when they're dealing with the first responders who encounter these activities. We also have programs available for first responders through the state that we make access to them for those difficult situations. And we also provide debriefings for certain situations, teams that are made up of folks from our area, but also outside our area, because sometimes it's just easier for folks to visit with people outside their own hometown about situations. So we try to support folks any way we can, but it's difficult. So as much as we appreciate these folks, they're human as well, and we also cannot forget about the dispatchers who are on the other side of those calls, who have the job of communicating with everybody. So just keep that in your mind, that when we hear about these tragedies, they involve a lot of folks. We certainly are thinking of the families that they impact directly, but we think about the folks that deal with them too. I know you have a special public appearance tonight. I will say that he should put on a memo writing workshop for maybe the department heads later because I read through his proposal and I was certainly impressed with it. I think you have a future department head here in the making, just saying. So happy to stand for questions, Mayor. Otherwise, we'll let you get to your business.
Are there any questions of the city manager? All right, seeing no red microphones come on. As City Manager Leon alluded to, we do have one scheduled public, I don't even know if you want to call it a speaker, but we're going to put you on the spot tonight, Hunter. Love when folks from the scouting program come to the city. I know we don't see them all because with social media, I see lots of folks. I shouldn't say lots because it's very elite to get to this status, to earn all of all the steps and everything in the scouting program to get to this level. So we don't see lots of them, but I do see some that don't come in front of the city. But love those, of course, obviously, that want to work on something to improve our city or our spaces. As you know, that's in our motto for everybody in the committee. And I think this is probably my third, at least, one that I can think of that's coming from the City Commission. So welcome to you tonight. Thank you for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd ask you to introduce yourself so folks know who you are, like your grade, maybe how you got in the scouting program, and then, yes, walk us through this. I will tell you, in the three, I think, that have come forward, you are the most detailed, so we'll be talking to you in the future, I'm sure. So I'll turn it over to you, Hunter.
Thank you. My name is Hunter Haas. I'm a junior at the Yankton High School. I got into scouting by my parents. Are like, we'll try something different, see what you like, see what you don't like. We go from there. But my potential project is I'll be making a loafing shed down by the ice rink. I've been in hockey for about 8 years, and I'm coming up with my 9th year of Yankton hockey. I've been passionate about the sport, and I would like to make the sport more appealing to our community. In the past, if you were lucky enough that the weather would be cold enough to produce ice, then the opportunity to play on the Saratoga outdoor ice rink is a great opinion. Last year, I went down to Saratoga ice rink with my friends. I noticed there was no available place to put on my skates. Because there was no place to put my skates next to the rink, I had to utilize my car to get my skates on. From this experience, I saw a need that would benefit the community and make the rink more enticing to the public. My proposal would be adding a loafing shed next to the sidewalk leading to the ice rink. I am here to ask for the approval of this project. I am also working to achieve my Eagle Scout level, and this project will fulfill that requirement. the bottom of your page will show the area where the shed will be placed. And then on the next page will be the steps needed to complete this building. Projects are as follow. Number 1, present project proposal to the city council for approval. Number 2, receive approval building permit from the application submitted, which I got 8/22/23. Number 3, receive approval from Boy Scout Eagle Board. Number 4, fundraise money for building materials. Number 5, order building materials for the project. Number 6, contact call before you dig. Number 7, begin grade work to establish grade level. Number 8, install forms for concrete pad and install fiberglass rebar to connect sidewalk and pad on 2-foot centers. Number 9, erect building on the concrete pad. Number 10, install rubber sheeting onto the sidewalk and concrete pad. Number 11, install cubbies into the north wall of the building. Number 12, the benches will be installed by the city. And number 13, turn over the finished project to the city for continued maintenance. And then I have the list of the places where I'll get my supplies. For the labor will be supplied by Boy Scouts, Troop 102, and others. The materials for the building will be the building materials supplied by Menards. The concrete will be supplied by Knife River. The rubber will be provided by Great Mats Inc. The cubbies will be provided by School Outfitters. And then the benches will be supplied by the Yankton. And then here on that chart shows all the building costs and everything, with shipping costs and everything. And then below that shows all the dimensions of the building I'm providing. And then through these pages will show what potentially I will be building. And then the first one is the front side of the loafing shed. And then the next one will be the left side of it. The third one is from the back. And then the next 3 will be the forms for it. Shows the front, the left, and the back. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. I appreciate you using 2 passions. I have a couple of questions. One, who did you bring with you tonight?
I brought my mom and my dad.
Could you introduce them to us?
Yep. My dad, Terry Haas, and then my mom, Sheila Haas.
Awesome. Well, I can tell you what, you're raising a great son there, because it takes somebody to come in front of a city commission and being able to present that. Mom's already smiling and saying, yeah, I know, you've been coaching him for a while. And I see you guys are also in the scouting program as well. So thank you for your leadership there. Is this a permanent building? Is the construction of what you're doing here going to be permanent so it stays there? It's not one that comes out in the winter and goes away in the summer?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Questions from the, yes?
I've got one quick question regarding the rubber mats, because I know through skating, every year at the 4-H grounds, pull all the mats up and store them. Is that something that is going to be done with this? I'm thinking of maintenance in the future, of mowing and the mats on the and the mats would also be on the sidewalk. Is that correct?
Yes. So it will be a tile, and there'll be ones that like interlock like a jigsaw puzzle, and then we'll drill them into the concrete, and then so they stay down. And if we need to, we can replace them with good ones.
Okay, so the thought would be that they're going to stay there permanently then? No?
No. So then we can take them out, bring them out,
okay.
and then put them back in if we need it, or
All
when the season comes back.
Fantastic. Sounds great. Thank you.
I just have a quick question for you. It's a fantastic presentation, and I wish you all the luck.
Thank you.
What is your anticipated timeline? What's your goal?
Well, I have to raise the money after this, and then go to my Eagle board and present it to them, and then and that could take maybe a month or two. It depends on when they're available. And then after that, like I said, I have to raise money, and then after that, just get building supplies, order everything, and then start building.
So it's something you'd like to complete in the next couple of months if you possibly could?
Yes.
I just have a vision of it. I don't want you in your car having to put your skates on again.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Todd, I think he's here. I think he's hiding behind Dave. Anything to be aware of as far as City Parks and Rec? I assume he's worked through this with you. I know you've worked with other Eagle Scout projects that we've had come before the city.
Yeah, we met on site, gave him the information to make sure to talk to city code about building permit because the building is 10 by 16, so it's bigger than some small sheds that don't need builder permits. Also, there's some flood zone issues, so might have to do some stuff with holes at the bottom on two sides to make sure if water would ever come through there, it flows through, doesn't take the building down, such as we had happen at Tripp Park in that shelter. So, yeah, we met on site and talked through everything. So the biggest concern is what's underground there. We think we're okay, but we'll do the one call and make sure that we're good underground.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Anything else from the commission? I know it's not an official motion, but does anybody have an issue with Hunter pursuing this project? It's not an official motion. We can't take that during a public appearance, Hunter, but you have our full support in making that happen. So good luck to you, and thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good job. All right, as I said, we did have one public appearance that was scheduled tonight, so we do want to open it up to the public who may want to present on something not on the agenda tonight. If you could step to either microphone and give us your name, and then feel free to discuss with the City Commission.
My name is Scott O'Neill. My wife Kay and I live across from Stewart School, and we own and operate Shore to Shore Realty in downtown Yankton. So every morning I come down to the Hy-Vee traffic light and turn left, and this won't take long. This is Scooters, and this has happened to me twice now.
Al's coming to you with a thicker one. I think it might help, because that's pretty light. I don't know if anybody else can see it, but I'm struggling. There we go. Thank you.
So top is south. Scooters is a problem, and I'm not anti-coffee.
Can you point the mic towards you and speak as much as you can into the
I
mic?
said-
We record these meetings and they're broadcast live, so for the viewers.
okay.
Thank you.
What I was saying is, I think scooters is a problem mostly on traffic. And I heard what Amy was talking about before with accidents. And on August 18th, I was traveling That's me down there in a big Dodge. So anyway, I'm traveling south in that lane because I've learned to go in that lane when I go by scooters. And the reason why is you have other cars parked down here, and this road actually curves this way. And this car, when I came up to the intersection, this car here is wanting to go this way. She came out to here. I ended up there. And I ended up there. And I saw her face, and that was the first time that she saw me was when I was in that position. She had no idea that I was coming. And this is the second time that this has happened to me. And just yesterday, I had to slow down because another car was trying to merge and make that left turn out of there and misjudged it. And so I just foresee somebody having a tragic accident there. And that's when I heard that voice, which to me, through the years, has been God saying, you got to tell somebody. So that morning, I went and talked to 4 people. I went and talked to Sheriff Chrissy, and he understood the situation. Actually, everybody that I talked to that morning understood the situation. He explained that he thought the DOT would have to get involved because of it's Highway 81. And he showed me on his computer that there are already laws in effect forbidding someone parking in an area that would obstruct someone's view or make it dangerous. So we already have laws that you can't park there, but that's what people are doing. And then, there's also an issue. He knew about an issue with Big River Burrito and Ron's Auto Glass. They have the big semis that would park out front to unload. And now I guess they unload in the afternoon so as not to obstruct the view, when they're busy in the morning. So when I talked to the sheriff, he sent me to Chief of Police Jason Foote, and he said, well, what's this about? And I said, it's about scooters. And he said, I believe what he said was, I know what you're going to say, but go ahead already. And so I told him the story, and he said that they could patrol the area more in the morning, or the other thing he said was to give flyers out to customers of scooters, showing them what the proper procedure for, going through the line was. Then I went and talked to Brian Hunoff, which I figured I should talk to someone on the council so that they knew what I was talking about. He directed me to Dave Mingo, who never called me back. And he also said I should go see Amy, so I went and saw her, and she was, I think, aware of the situation also. And she wanted to talk to the city engineer to see, what they could do. And I did get a couple emails from her saying that she had talked to the owners of scooters, and they were contemplating putting a sign, is that right?
Yes, I talked to the, one of the owners, the wife, it's a husband and wife owner, about putting a right turn only sign in the scooters parking lot, which we couldn't make them do, but they could put on their own property, so that would provide maybe a safer way of, exiting the property, and probably easier for the driver as well. And she said she was going to visit with her husband and get back to me, and so that was late last week. I can't remember the days exactly that I spoke with her and then got back to you, but I thought I'd give her a bit of time and then contact her again if I don't hear back, so we can, if that's an option for them, otherwise pursue something else.
Yeah, so anyway, I appreciated, these four talking to me, and I didn't feel like I was on a timer or anything. It's just like they were wanting to hear what I had to say. But I think it's a very interesting situation. But I do believe that something's going to happen if we don't do something about it. And I have one more short thing. While I have your attention on safety on Broadway, there are 6 intersections on Broadway that have traffic lights, and only one of them has the signage up on the cross where the traffic light is. The rest of them are just small signs like you see on streets, but most of these are hidden. When you come to an intersection, you have no idea what the street is, especially out-of-town people. And some of them are only like 5 feet in the air. And when you got a semi in front of you, you can't see anything. So I think we should update all of those intersections to let people know where they're at. And that's all I got.
Yep. I'm going to ask Mr. Haberman to come to the microphone. He's our city engineer. 2 things on that. Adam, the first part, what leeway do we have with the state? As he mentioned, it is, as Mr. O'Neill mentioned, that is Highway 81. So obviously the state's involved there. So questions on any leeway a city would have when it comes to the state highway. And then number 2, is that us that can do signs, or how does that work?
So yes, the state, that is Highway 81. The state maintains that route, that corridor. They maintain all the signs along there with the exception of the street name signs. We have looked at the possibility of installing the larger street name signs on the traffic signal arms. And we have to work through the DOT with that. But those arms weren't designed to have signs on them. But the DOT currently has a traffic signal replacement project. It was budgeted for 2024. I don't know if it's going to happen in 2024, but it was budgeted for 2024. In meeting with the DOT folks, that was one request the city made, was that those arms are designed to be able to have the large street name signs on them at all the intersections. So that hopefully will take care of that request.
Well, a lot of these are signs that are there currently right now are hidden. They're either below where the crosswalk is, or like on 15th Street going north, there's a tree has grown all the way around it. You can't even see the sign.
Yeah, believe it or not, it gets difficult at times to locate those signs, places with underground utilities, putting posts in the ground, maintaining pedestrian routes. So it is tricky positioning those signs at intersections that
And
it
even
sticks out right in the middle of everything. We gotta,
even if you find the sign, which you're driving and checking your lanes and everything, even if you find the sign, you can't read it. So I think the only option is to put them up in the air. It looks great on 31st Street.
and that's exactly what the new traffic signals will look like, hopefully next year.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you. I guess we will keep seeing what we can do. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. I, too, have driven down Broadway. I did it on Saturday, and there were 3 cars waiting to turn right into scooters. There were 3 cars waiting to turn left in the turning lane that were pointed north, so right there, and then all the traffic in scooters. So I agree, probably not going to be an easy fix, but if we can work with them, and we'll keep pursuing that. So thank you for bringing that to the commission tonight. And we have another one up at the podium. Go ahead and step up and give us your name.
Hi, my name's Andy Holst. Sorry, I have a sinus issue going on, so my voice is a little weird. First of all, I just want to say thanks to everyone up here that's essentially a volunteer for the city commission. It's a thankless job, and I appreciate everybody who's put your neck out on the line. So based upon the previous work session on economic development, I just wanted to share a couple thoughts along the way, since there wasn't enough time in that meeting. I think, the overall goal and desire as a local entrepreneur here is to figure out how we as a community can come together and work together to make Yankton the best it can be. And economic development is, as was said earlier, it's a tricky situation. It changes, but I do think there's always room for improvement. A couple things I wanted to bring to the city commission's attention and also reiterate to the public that I found somewhat interesting in talking to Dave Mingo, and he said it before in his presentation, and it was, we are not wanting to attract companies that have a high demand for labor or for employees. He said that to me. He said it in public. I scratched my head at that, and I would challenge the city commission to rethink that. And the reason I would say that is it's kind of like the chicken and the egg. What comes first? Does a big employer decide that they're going to move to Sioux Falls or Austin, Texas, or wherever, knowing that there's people that they're going to work there? Or do they just do it because the environment's right and they know that their business model will attract the people that want to work for them? I would suggest it's the latter. And the reason I would say that is this. My wife and I own House of Brands. We just built a new facility, and we put out a post a week or 2 ago to hire 3 people. I got 50 applications. My takeaway from that is there's a lot of people in the community that are looking for, I would say, a change in employment, maybe better themselves, maybe they're underemployed right now. So I think that the city, as we're looking to attract businesses and companies to Yankton, I would really relook at that bullet point of a company that has a demand for a high number of people. Because in today's world, we're in a place where I compete as a company for human beings to work for me, with me, and together. And if I can't compete, if I don't get people that apply to my business, then that's on me. If you're stealing employees from other employers, then I guess they weren't happy at the other place, right? So I just think that really needs to be discussed in a work session moving forward. The other thing that I would like to suggest is, and I've experienced this on a really small scale, but the city owns a lot of land in town, prime land, and I think it's the duty of the landowner, whether it be a private person like me or the city, to really have some stipulations and some, I would say, qualifications for someone to be able to build or use the land. What I say that my situation is, my wife and I bought 31st and Douglas there, that's 7.5 acres south of Northwestern. And we told each other that we weren't going to allow that south corner to be developed into something that didn't deserve to be there. So I could have sold it 5 times over to build storage sheds or other things that I shouldn't be put in that place. And so as the city looks to attract new tenants, new buyers to their land, such as the land along Broadway by the cemetery and others, I would encourage the city to have kind of a checklist of qualifications in order to even have an option to buy. I think that the other thing that was said, and I'll leave with this, was the big thing for the city is to get tax revenue started on land through real estate, okay? I would question if the value of the asset being put on the property correlates to the value of the land. If you have a $3 million piece of land, hypothetically, I don't think it would do that land and the community service to build a $500,000 building. You might get the tax revenue off the land when it goes on the tax roll, but the building should really, I would say, marry up well to the land value. And so I look forward to, working together with the city as a local entrepreneur to help you guys make this community the best it can be through economic development, however that looks. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for your comments. And you and your wife built a beautiful building. I love the lights on the top of it when they're on. They're fun. Anybody else in the public want to address the commission on something not on the agenda tonight? I am seeing no movement. All right, so with that, we will move on to the consent agenda. The first one is consideration of memorandum 23-162, recommending approval of the application from Country Fresh Farms for a transient merchant license for September 13th through the 16th, 2023, on the Menards frontage, which is 3210 Broadway. And the next one is to establish September 11th, 2023, as the date for a public hearing on the request for a new retail on-off sale malt beverage South Dakota wine license for July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024 from Event Central, Matt Evans owner, and that is at 2101 Broadway Avenue. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second on the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Anybody abstaining? All right. Moving on to old business. Number one is consideration of memorandum 23-161 regarding the request for a special events malt beverage on sale retailer's license and a special on sale wine retailer's license for one day, September 9th, 2023, from the center, Chris Thury, Executive Director. That is at 900 Whiting Drive. What is your pleasure?
Move to approve?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Johnson.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Schramm.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Hunoff.
Aye.
Mayor Moser.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to new business. Number one is an introduction and first reading to establish September 11th, 2023 as the second reading on ordinance to appropriate monies for defraying the necessary expenses and liabilities of the city of Yankton, South Dakota for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2024, and providing for the levy of annual taxes for all funds created by ordinance within said city. Can I get an introduction?
Introduced.
Thank you. Number two under new business is consideration of memorandum 23-158, recommending approval of employee tuition reimbursement in the amount of $5,921.47.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Amy, anything to share with the commission here?
No, just a reminder that employee tuition reimbursement is a program that was put into place by the commission, probably 2 or 3 years ago now. The course of study or the degree has to be affiliated or, something to do with the employee's line of work. They are required to pay it back if they do not maintain employment with the city. It's also prorated based, I believe, on the outcome of the grade system that the institution utilizes. So in this case, this is an employee working towards a JD degree, I believe.
All right, we do have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion?
I'm just curious, I don't know how often you've done this, and I'm certainly not opposed to this program, but I don't really see any reason the employee could not be named. It's public record, public money. If you don't want to do that in this case, I would suggest it for future cases.
That's up to the commission. I think we have not done that in the past, only to, if there's that's up to the commission. If you want that to happen, I think we haven't seen that involvement much in the program, to be honest. We've had, I think this is our third employee. I think employees may be hesitant to want their name released, but it's up to the commission what they want to do on that.
All right. Oh,
I think that's something that we could possibly do. Just in that, I don't think I would mind my name being shared if I'm furthering my education. I think it's a possibility. I think it's something that we would have to discuss and have a vote on. But I'm not necessarily against that. I think it'd be at least worth having further conversation about.
Well, maybe what I can do is let you all act on this this evening, if you're willing to, and then discuss with the department heads. They may have some information about their employees or that they want to share in general, and we can put that forward as a discussion item as well.
okay. We do have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other further commission discussion?
I would just want to clarify with HR that, if it's prorated based on the grade they received, I don't know how that impacts somebody if they applied for 6,000, only got 3,000. Well, what does that say about the grade? And that, I think, may be a violation of their privacy if that's stated.
It is.
Yeah, so that part would concern me if we knew what the amount is that they asked for, and then based on what we were paying. As the question came up, I was just kind of trying to think through all those different scenarios of why it would be a concern. But as long as we're not disclosing what the total amount is versus what we're actually willing to pay, it might just be more of a preference or a feeling. So I need to think through this some.
And I would like to point out, that educational records are protected information under those statutes I referenced earlier.
Little thing called FERPA.
All right, with
25 years in higher ed, I'll never forget those letters.
With those pieces of information, I think more than anything, it's good to maybe, because I didn't necessarily know of those things, so it would be nice to put something together so that you actually did have the information, right? And then we can make a decision as far as what would be the right thing to do. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think the motion, or not the motion, the idea came out to have a further discussion, and we can do that. We have a motion and a second on the floor tonight, so if you think you need the name before you vote, you'd have to deny this motion, and we'd have to get that.
Okay.
I'll have HR work on some information.
Perfect, thank you. So the motion and second on the floor is to approve as is presented in the packet. So if you're wanting a name or something before approval, you'll probably want to deny that motion that's in front of us tonight. If you're thinking you need the name before you can approve, since there's been a motion and a second.
I would think we could, since this has been the precedent we've been using, just approve this tonight and then going forward, make a change to how we do this process would be my recommendation.
Any other commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Minor,
Aye.
Schramm,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Brunig,
Aye.
Hanoff,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Mayor Moser.
Aye, motion carries.
I'm sorry,
Oh.
I skipped a vote, and I apologize, Mr. Villanueva. Aye.
Motion still carries. All right. Thank you for that. Number 3, under new business is consideration of memorandum 23-159, recommending approval of resolution 23-45 and the addendum to collective bargaining agreement between the city of Yankton and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO Local 3968, for ages effective January 1st, 2024. Amy, would you be willing to walk the commission through what's being proposed tonight before I ask for what their pleasure is?
Yeah, so this is, there's 2 parts to this. We're asking that you act on them separately, depending upon where you want to take them. But the first here before you is an addendum to our bargaining agreement with wages. So this is only for those employees whom are represented by the AFSCME employee bargaining unit. So it is not for the Fraternal Order of Police unit, nor for the non-represented employees. This is at this time just for the union eligible employees. We have a tentative agreement on a 4% cost of living increase for 2024, as well as a step in our pay grade for those who are eligible to receive a step. So we have a 20-step program. The steps are roughly about 1.26%. So for those eligible, and what makes you ineligible is if you've reached the top of your grade, for example, or perhaps there is a performance situation, and that would perhaps, disqualify somebody for a step. But so that's why it says the step for eligible employees. Happy to answer questions if folks wanted to ask.
Does anybody on the commission need clarification before I ask what your pleasure is? If not, what is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Second.
All right, having a formal motion in a second, is there any commission discussion on this? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Schramm.
Aye.
Excuse me, Schramm.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunig.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Mayor Moser.
I will abstain. My husband is a city employee. Not under the bargaining unit, but still, just to maintain that. Motion carries. Number 4 is consideration of memorandum 23-160, recommending approval of resolution 23-50, and authorizing myself to sign the addendum to collective bargaining agreement between the City of Yankton and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFL-CIO Local 3968 for the addition of language for volunteer firefighters effective October 7th, 2023. Like we just did in the previous agenda item, I'm going to ask City Manager Leon to walk us through this.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the commission. This pertains to just a few of our employees. So our union representative employees who are in full-time status with the City of Yankton, as well as act as volunteer fire department members. We have learned from the Department of Labor that if they take a call during the regular scheduled time, they are not able to do that without using leave, either vacation time or compensatory time. So they're required by the Department of Labor, not our rule, their rule, to take actual leave time. And so we didn't know this previously, so we're not, we haven't acted this way, but like many times when we learn something and we need to do something in a better way, when we know better, we do better. So this addendum changes the way we treat our full-time city employees who are covered over the collective bargaining unit. So our salaried employees that are firemen, they can leave and we allow that flexibility as we do with our salaried employees, but our hourly employees cannot do that per Department of Labor. So we don't want to punish financially anybody that's on the volunteer fire department. This impacts, I think, 3 or 4 of our employees, but we don't want to punish anybody for answering the call of service. So what we're proposing here is that the city of Yankton would pay the non-exempt employees a stipend of $30 per call pay for any all-call response during the employee's regular shift. That would be in addition to the customary call pay stipend that the volunteer firefighters receive for responding to calls. So that would be in addition to. So depending upon that employee's hourly rate, that could come out, and the time of the call could come out ahead or could come out behind. But the employees are aware of this. HR and Chief Linke and President Miller have visited with the employees, so they're aware of this. And the AFSCME collective bargaining unit is amenable to this as well. So what we're trying to do is really not make it so it's not detrimental to their pay for being on the volunteer fire department.
Thank you for that. Any questions of the commission before a formal motion? No? What is the pleasure of the commission then?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody from the public? I feel like I'm trying to figure out a reason to get President Miller to the microphone. Just, he's shaking his head out at me for those I can't see him. I'll let you off the hook. Nobody in the public. Al, roll call.
Villanueva,
Abstaining, I'm a member of the volunteer fire department.
Benson,
Aye.
Brunig,
Aye.
Hanoff,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Minor,
Aye.
Schramm,
Aye.
Mayor Moser.
Aye, motion carries. Number 5, under new business, is consideration of memorandum 23-163, recommending approval of the base bid plus alternate from MJ Dawson Roofing of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, in the amount of $201,179 for roof repairs to the Yankton Community Library, of which $225,000 was budgeted. So coming in under budget. What is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved. Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Benson,
Aye.
Brunig,
Aye.
Hanoff,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Minor,
Aye.
Schramm,
Aye.
Villanueva,
Aye.
Mayor Moser.
Aye, motion carries. Number 6 under new business is consideration of memorandum 23-165 regarding resolution 23-47, a performance-based sales tax and development agreement for Invest in Me LLC, doing business as Events Central. Matt Evans, owner. I see Mr. Mingo has made his way to the microphone. I feel like we are all so highly educated on this right now after having our work session. I know we're not, because there's obviously some particulars that were put in the commission packet on this. So Dave, could you walk us through this before we see what the pleasure of the commission is?
Sure. Mr. Matt Evans, owner of Events Central, former Yankton Mall, is attempting to package his project and make his improvements in a way that's cost-effective and increases interest in new businesses locating there. And of course, to do that, he's planning on, already has, and is planning on spending more money on upgrading the facility. One of the few tools the City Commission has in the toolbox to support this sort of proposal is the sales tax reimbursement agreement. That is performance-based in that only those sales taxes generated on-site would be reimbursed, and it would only be 1%, and it's capped in 2 manners. A typical length of time that has been used in the past is 10 years, and that's what's being proposed here. And then the financial cap would be $500,000. So either one of those 2 triggers would sunset the reimbursement. The thing that's a little bit unique about this is typically we're discussing one business specifically, and we try and match it up with an area where the city is experiencing retail leakage. This is multiple businesses that would be in the building and on the property in the outlots, so and businesses yet to be determined. And again, the proceeds would go back to Mr. Evans as Event Central to try and spruce the building up. But that's what's a little bit different about this, is it's not just a specific retail occupancy that we're targeting or being considered here. It's retail occupancies like the theater that we know we have retail leakage in, and then it's the potential for whatever else may occur. The agreement also includes some language about not having simple relocations from within the community being eligible. Mr. Evans is aware of that and hasn't expressed any concerns about that. I'd be willing to try and answer any questions you may have.
Dave, I do know, I think in the commission packet, it says only on businesses in the mall after July 1st, 2023, so those currently there are not eligible, correct?
Correct. This would be retroactive to July 1, 2023, so we're still in that reporting period. The financials would be easily able to be obtained. Businesses like Dunham's wouldn't be eligible. It excludes businesses that were there prior to July 1, 23.
But this would tie into like the movie theater and those after he took possession? Okay.
Correct.
And I know Mr. Evans is also in the audience, so if the commission does have any questions of him before either a formal motion or after we make one, he is here as well, I see. So any questions of Dave in relation to this? If not, what is the pleasure of the commission?
I'll make the motion that we approve this agreement.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Dave, I do have one question, and I thought about it after the motion and the second. Is there any language in here if a current business in Yankton wants to quadruple their square footage and move out to the mall, if they're not taking the same amount of space or actually expanding, is that covered?
Yeah, that's a great question. I should have mentioned that. It would not allow for like size and financial equivalents to be just relocate from one location to another within the city limits. But if a business is planning a significant expansion, it does allow for that to be included then.
Thank you. I thought I understood that. I just wanted to clarify that.
Mayor Mosher, if I may draw the commission's attention to the terms of the agreement, item number 1, definition of eligible businesses. It currently talks about those criteria, and it says, having deemed by the city manager or his designee meeting the following criteria. So if that's something that you would rather do, you can change that to be a function of the commission. However, I will say the criteria there is fairly laid out as to what would be an eligible business. But I just want to bring that forward so everyone's aware of that.
If I may expound on that real briefly, there already is a situation where if a business meets, look, there's 4 criteria that A, B, C, and D. If it meets A, a business paying city sales tax, and B, newly opened for business after July 1, 2023, but it doesn't meet the other 2, at least clearly on its face, there is an opportunity for this commission to consider whether it might still fit because it would still be likely to generate new sales tax. So you can think of that like the city commission almost acts like a board of appeal. If there's a business that would come along that's kind of borderline, but it isn't a perfect fit for the city manager to say yes, you guys still have the opportunity to say yes. So that's built in as well, just so you guys are aware of that. That's in the same paragraph, just a little further on.
Quick clarification, Dave. You said if there is a business already operating in the city and they would like to relocate and they want to undergo a significant size expansion, what is the significant definition of significant?
Correct. That's the interesting part of economic development incentives. That's to be determined.
Dave, would that be akin to Ace Hardware, getting a sales tax rebate to move into that old Sunshine building?
Correct.
Something
Very-
along
very
those lines
similar.
from the downtown location?
Correct.
Amy, to your point, my preference would be to allow the city manager or her assignee to make that decision to expedite the process versus having us, delay potentially someone wanting to move in. I think you've laid it out very clearly. This is laid out. We can allow you to do that.
Any other commission discussion?
Well, Matt here, I'd like to hear about your vision for the property. We've seen a lot of success there so far, and the community's been really ecstatic to see that, and just wondering what you may have planned for us in the future.
Here's where I would tell you to state your name, but I think you've been called out a couple of times, but feel free to do that anyway.
My name's Matt Evans. I got a lot of plans, basically. Main thing is under promise and over deliver. You guys probably heard that a few times. The movie theater, I think we announced it opening either the day before or a couple days before, something like that. That's our plan, basically. As far as kind of what you're talking about, like as far as expediting things, it's very important. There's a lot of people who want in. It's kind of unreal that it wasn't full before. And there are things that need to be done or not done in order to make this happen. We need to make it easy is the bottom line to get these people in here. I'll do my part. I'll keep the rents low. I'll try to bring in all these new stores. I think we got the movie theater open in 3 weeks, something like that. Playday was supposed to be open last week, but we got shorted on flooring. I will do my part. I just ask of you guys if there's any way whatsoever to expedite getting these people in here. Time is money, bottom line. These stores want to get in. They want to get in quick. They want the stuff built, ready for them to go. I can do that part with my crew. They want low rent. I can do that. They want the entire mall interior finished. We carpeted half the mall in 2 days. I can do my part. I work hard. I work late. I just ask for any help that you guys can give me, whether it's your brains, whether it's whatever it is. I mean, 10 brains, 20 brains, 15,000, whatever it is better than one. I have a team. I don't really have employees, in my opinion. I believe when you get so big, you lose that team. And I tend to keep a team to keep this going forward. We've already started on parking lot improvements. We were supposed to do more last week for Riverboat Days, and the truck broke down on the interstate loaded, and tow trucks can't tow 60,000 pounds of asphalt in a truck, so that was a tough deal. But we're going to keep working. We're going to keep going. We want to expand over and over and over again. Just bring as many stores to Yankton as possible, and what people want is the main thing, not just any store. We want to do what people want and get it here and move on to the next one. We saw too many restaurants leave Yankton. I saw too many restaurants leave Yankton, so Jack was gracious enough to sell that to me in the recipes, and we're going to be putting that in the mall. That's going to be a project. We got to do the kitchen and rebuild the whole thing, or build the whole thing, and then move on to the next store and keep going.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Yep.
Thanks for the work you're doing to get that open. And thriving again, I guess, would be a hub of activity right on our main street. Any other commission discussion?
I would just, I think you're hearing lots of people saying thank you for taking on the project. We all understand it's a monster project, but Yankton is excited, and I hope Yankton turns out to support it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Brunig.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Schramm.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Mayor Moser.
Aye, motion carries. Number 7 under new business is consideration of memorandum 23-166, recommending the approval of change orders number 2 and number 3 for the Mead Property Development Project. Ironically enough, change order number 2 has increased it by $5,009.94, but number 3 decreases it by $6,344.50. So in front of you tonight is a net decrease in that change order project of $1,253.56. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Schramm.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunig.
Aye.
Mayor Moser.
Aye, motion carries. Number 8 under new business is consideration of memorandum 23-167, recommending approval of change order number 1 for the Chan Gurney Airport project in the amount of $1,471.53. In your commission packet, this is for sawing and removal of the existing curb and installing a new access. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Johnson.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Schramm.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunig.
Aye.
Hanoff. Mayor Moser.
Aye, motion carries. Number 9 under new business is consideration of memorandum 23-168, recommending that the city commission discuss and take action on the proposed real estate purchase agreement. If approved, it is also recommended that the city manager be authorized to execute all documents associated with the right of first refusal and/or purchase agreement as described therein. The offer in front of us tonight is for $275,000. And that right of first refusal would go to Mr. Hertz. But Dave, I see you're up at the mic again. Please walk the commission through how all of this works and what's in front of us.
Sure. You might remember that when Mr. Dave Hertz bought the property, I believe it's Lot 8, yes it is, to the east of this location on the north side of Menards, he, for his new Midwest Rentals / Clark's Rentals project, he also was interested in a right of first refusal on lots 6 and 7. So that has been in place with him leasing those 2 lots also so he would have the ability to display some merchandise at those locations. City Attorney Denherter can probably better explain how a right of first refusal works, but in this case, it means that if we receive a bona fide offer, in layman's terms, if we receive a bona fide offer, essentially at or above what Mr. Hertz's offer was for, and it is an actual representative of an actual project that the commission might be interested in, we have the obligation to consider that and also provide, if the commission so approves, provide Mr. Hertz with notice that we've received said offer and give him an opportunity to execute his right of first refusal. This property will have all the standard clawbacks on it, so whether Mr. Hertz ends up executing his right of first refusal or whether or not or if he doesn't and it ends up going to Elkhorn Valley Bank, who is making the proposal, either way our standard clawbacks would apply. And with that, I would try and answer any questions and ask the city attorney to assist me with that.
So the offer as per the commission packet Elkhorn Valley Bank's offer is above and meets all the rules there. And then, so that's met, correct?
Correct.
And then when you talk about clawbacks, so this one also will have to be designed per, I mean, I know we had renderings or some examples in our commission packet of previous Elkhorn Valley Bank new banks or expansions or whatever they were. This project would have to adhere to any other business that's coming to town as far as the design, and is that kind of what you mean by clawbacks? Or?
Yep, correct. Part 12 describes the improvements that would be required of the property and that they must meet certain minimum architectural and aesthetic requirements. And if the project, whichever project it ends up being, doesn't occur within the timelines allotted there, then the city has the right to repurchase them for the original sale price.
Ross, when we talk about this, what is kind of the timeline when we have an ROFR?
Okay, so in this particular case, it depends how the right of first refusal has been written, but in this case, the holder of the right is given 30 days. They have to get a receipt of the contract that the commission approves, and they have 30 days to basically execute the same deal. The only difference is they pre-negotiated the purchase price, which is very close to what's here, just a little less than what is on the table before you. All other terms of the agreement are binding upon the holder of the right of first refusal. So this is what we're looking at here is effectively the purchase agreement for either entity. From our perspective, we just wait it out and determine which party is buying. However, just be advised that this particular agreement does have a due diligence period. So it is possible that in the buyer's investigations, they might decide to back out of this deal. It's a standard commercial term, though.
Commission should be aware Mr. Lynn Peterson from Elkhorn Valley Bank is in the commission chambers, so if anybody needs to ask any questions of him, as you make the decision on what you want to do here, he is here as well. Are there any other questions from the commission for anybody? If not, what is the pleasure of the commission?
I'll make a motion that we approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and now that we do, is there any other commission discussion?
Do we need to add language to that motion to authorize the city manager to sign those documents, or can we just say approve the motion as, or approve the memorandum?
It is in the resolution.
Since Lynn is here, I'd like to hear from Lynn about what plans you have for the property if this were to be a successful transaction.
Say that again.
Yeah. Lynn, just curious about your vision for what you would like to do for the site if this transaction is successful.
Just to build a state-of-the-art bank. Basically, we're looking to put a South Dakota headquarters. That's what we're kind of looking at. The only reason for having the two lots, it's a little bit like Andy Holst just said, I want to pick my neighbor. I want to get aggressive, and let me back that up. The reason for the two lots is I don't know exactly where the bank would be located, the best location for it. This gives our architect more to work with, and he can kind of wiggle room, move it around, and then we would section off whatever we don't use into another lot and sell that to what we would want to be a good neighbor and help build that whole area up. So we're going to remain with another location downtown where we are, so this will be a second location in town.
And just for the benefit of the commission, that second location would be subject to the same aesthetic authorizations by City Hall too. So.
What would your time, if this is approved tonight, what would your time frame look like?
Real quick, because we've got the 30-day first right of refusal, I really don't want to have an architect on site until we know that we're getting past that. And so having an architect on site and then starting to dig yet this fall would be critical.
Lynn, you mentioned this would be a South Dakota headquarters for Elkhorn. What's the footprint for Elkhorn in South Dakota right now? Is it just Yankton, or are they in other communities?
Just us. Right now, we're the first bank in South Dakota for Elkhorn. We will expand into other communities as well.
Thank you.
But we're trying to get it absolutely right here in Yankton, and then move out from there.
Any other questions from the commission?
I do see on the images of the other Elkhorn banks, there's two one-story banks, and then there's one multi-story. Do you have any idea on which of those you're going to go with yet, or?
Say that one more time.
The three images that you showed, there's two one-story banks and then a multi-story bank. Are you leaning toward one or the other?
Multi-story would be, got it. Multi-story is what the intention is, but I can't absolutely guarantee that, as we just have not even really set a specific design together at this point, because we don't know what real estate we're on.
Any other commission questions? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Minor.
Aye.
Schramm.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunig.
Aye.
Hunoff.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Mayor Moser.
Aye. Motion carries. Number 10, I think we're on, yes. All right, number 10, consideration of memorandum 23-169, supporting resolution 23-51, naming Lisa Yardley as interim finance officer and setting the salary as stated. As you know, as City Manager Leon gave in her notes today, the commission has been working with Al. He's made it known to us. If we let him and we don't chain him to his desk. No, I'm kidding. He is going to be retiring to do the fun play things that he's probably always wanted to do in life. And so per the press release and then in your commission packet, we've worked with Lisa Yardley to put her in as interim finance officer with a salary of $105,000 in this interim, and then authorized opening the deputy finance officer position. As I know, we've shared in discussions with Al and Lisa, as big of a runway we can get to, for Lisa particularly, to cross-train up and cross-train down in those roles. It will always be good. We know she can never fill Al's shoes. I don't even know if she has as big of a joke book, but maybe we'll have to work on that. No, okay. The jokes will lose, but maybe everything else will get out of Al before he leaves. So in front of you tonight, obviously then setting that salary of $105 for interim city finance officer, and then $115 upon Al's retirement and leaving the office. She's still smiling, so she's obviously still okay with what's being offered. So what is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Schramm.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunig.
Aye.
Hunoff.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Mayor Moser.
Aye. Motion carries, means it's official motion. She has to stay, carry out her duties of the office. Al, you're going to let us throw you a big party, right?
All
What?
except for those few good riddance that I heard earlier.
All right, so we will, as most folks are aware, we will continue to work with Al and Lisa and City Manager Leon and Ross and the commission to put what we feel is the best transition plan in place. Once we get that figured out, we will have a big old party for Al, so I would challenge everybody right now to start figuring out your best joke that you can bring for your roast of Al, and we'll make sure we let everybody know when we go to celebrate that. Just days short.
That was a toast.
Roast, no toast. Al, you know better. As you know, here we're coming up in September, just short, but he'll hit it, 25 years with the city. So again, echo City Manager Leon's thoughts, Al, and I know you'll hear a lot of this as we go through this transition. But thank you so much on behalf of the commission, the current commission, former city commissioners. Believe it or not, Al makes this job a lot easier and makes all of us look good when it comes to city finance with all the good grasp and everything you've done for the city for the past 25 years in your role as city finance officer. So thanks again. And we'll look forward to that roast with an R. All right. Number 11, under new business, is consideration of memorandum 23-170, supporting resolution 23-52, authorizing the city of Yankton to issue one new package off-sale liquor license for the city of Yankton for calendar year 2024. Amy, or who wants to kind of just walk through, how did this come about? Why is it coming to us now, and what do we need to know?
Yes, so this may come from both finance and myself, but state statute provides for a certain number of off-sale liquor licenses based on population. So just so people know, when we say off-sale, that means purchasing liquor and taking it off premises. So this isn't another place where we're talking about going to the bar and having a drink. This is a buy it and leave, such as Hy-Vee has an off-sale packaged liquor. So they provide for two for any community, I believe under 1,000 people, and then there's a calculation based on your census for the other licenses. And so based on our new population, the city qualifies for an additional off-sale package. So we currently have 11. And we qualify for 12. It is up to you to determine whether or not you would like to issue one of those. What we've recommended in the packet is that if you do choose to do that, you set the fee, which we've cleared with Department of Revenue is okay to do this, set the fee as being a sealed bidding process so that you can receive bids on those. There is, whenever there's a limit on something, there's a value associated with. The only state statute that we have to go by is that we not make it less than $300, which is their minimum price there. And so we wouldn't be able to accept a bid less than that, but I would be very certain that it would be higher than that. We do have people who inquire about off-sale packaged liquor, and we've actually had a recent inquiry, do we have any off-sale packaged liquor? This does have to be, if the community, if the commission would like an additional off-sale packaged liquor, they have to be first eligible, which you are, and then that decision has to be made before September 1. So that's why it's coming before you this evening, if you should so choose. So we're recommending approval, but it's entirely up to you.
Are you aware of any private sales that have disclosed the amount of what they've gone for? I'm just curious.
I'm not, but Al, you know, they usually probably don't say.
Not a clue. I've heard rumors, but I wouldn't even want to throw that out there, so.
Other questions from the commission? If not, what is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved. So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion now with a formal motion?
Just a quick question. Is this the first time we've ever taken bids on these, or is that normal procedure?
It's a history. We don't have any normal procedures here, but that, Al, you might have history.
Yeah, again, since 1981, we've not had this opportunity, so this is a first.
This is the first.
But it is something that's done across the community. Lisa received some confirmation. She reached out to, I believe it was Sioux Falls, that's kind of what they're going through. Now, Sioux Falls experiences this often, like yearly, because of their population growth, of course. But
And because you take bids, doesn't mean you have to award a bid. I mean, you know, you're intending to, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to, so.
Any other questions from the commission? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Brunig,
Aye.
Hunoff,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Minor,
Aye.
Schramm,
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Number 12, under new business, is consideration of memorandum 23-171, recommending the authorization of the city manager to sign the FAA project closeout report for the FAA grant AIP number 3-46-0062-033-2021. The grant was in the amount of $122,999. That came from the FAA, which was 100% covered the project in front of you for closeout tonight. What is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Benson,
Aye.
Brunig,
Aye.
Hunoff,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Minor,
Aye.
Schramm,
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Mayor Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Next under the agenda is other business, and there is no other business in front of the city commission tonight. So with that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting of August 28, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Anybody abstaining? Meeting adjourned. Have a good night, folks.